Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's special webinar, What Employers Need to Know, Maine's Retirement Program Merit. We are going to get started here in just a few seconds. I want to give people a chance to join, but we're excited to talk to you all about the exciting things to come regarding merit. All right, we are going to go ahead and get started. And thank you to everybody who was able to join us today for this special webinar all about the Maine's newest retirement program, Merit. Before we go ahead and get started, we did want to go through some quick housekeeping. So this session is being recorded, and we will be sending out the recording afterwards to everybody who RSVP'd and attended. Additionally, we will be taking live Q&A throughout the presentation, and so feel free to utilize both the chat and the Q&A feature. We will do our best to take all questions that come through, and anything we aren't able to respond to in the moment, we'll be sure to follow up with you afterwards. And if you would like personalized guidance using Merit, please feel free to follow up after the webinar, as we're always happy to connect with people to address any specific questions. Next, really quickly, we would like to also thank all of our partners who were able to help support today's event in terms of promotion and making sure that folks were able to join us. And so we really appreciate you all for being a part of this special day. And now I'd like to go ahead and go through quickly our agenda and kick off by introducing Noël Bonam, AARP's Maine State Director, to share a little bit about the program and what they've done to support it. Thanks, Noël.
Thank you, Sammy. Welcome, everyone. It's great to be here. It's actually very exciting to be here. When AARP got involved in the state and helped pass this legislation, I actually worked on it for several years. We had no idea that, particularly in our state, this program would be as successful as it is in such a short period. We've seen around the country that the program works and that it works very well, and it meets a very significant need for Maine people, but the extent to which this program has been successful in such a short period is really astounding and very exciting. And congratulations to the entire Merit team, board, staff, and partners. I think that made it possible. For those of you who may not know, AARP has been championing the work and save legislation around the country. This is not the first time we've done it in any state. And in fact, right now, I think we have the work and save program in about 20 states that AARP has been responsible for. And that is because we realized that the retirement crisis in this country has persisted for decades. We know that. Today, over half of the nation's households are at risk of not having enough money to maintain their current lifestyle, once they retire, and not being able to even afford basic necessities like food, utilities, healthcare, etc. And we also know that most adults in America have to extend their working life by 7 to 8 years, because as they get closer to their retirement age, they realize that they haven't saved enough for retirement to be able to live a decent life. And so a critical reason for this shortage is that the access to workplace retirement savings programs don't exist, or they're very low. And access to pensions too are significantly going down in the nation. Pretty much everyone used to have a pension if they had a job with a regular steady job, but fewer and fewer employers are offering pensions these days. Without access to a retirement savings plan at work, nearly all workers fail to save. And so AARP's research has showed over the years that Americans are about 15 times more likely to save for retirement when they can do so at work. And so the Work and Save program is that solution that we are able to offer in our state. I'm really glad that Maine has this program right now. And we already know that there's about, I believe, 2.28 billion, and maybe Beth and the team can correct me on the latest numbers, with in assets under management right now through the Work and Save programs in the 20 states across the nation. So it is a program that's working and working really well. And the one other thing I would say before I introduce the next speaker is that for the reason AARP gets involved, in addition to everything else that I just said, is these issues that really are pocketbook issues, these issues that really influence the quality of life for any American, and AARP gets really involved in such issues. And the way that AARP does it, and I'm so proud to say this, is we don't just help pass the legislation. We stay with the issue. We stay with what happens beyond the passage of that legislation. In this case, we work very closely with Beth and the team, the Merit team, kind of even help, put together the board in very close collaboration with the governor's office, to really identify the right people for the right positions on the board. And since then, we've worked very closely with Merit to kind of help them implement, spread the word, and educate people about the program as much as possible. So that is the AARP way, and I'm really proud to see how successful the program has been, and I'm really excited for this conversation that we're having today. And I hope there will be many more opportunities like this where we will be able to celebrate the milestones and the continued growth and progress of this great program. Now, with great pleasure, I'm going to introduce the next speaker, who is Treasurer Joseph Perry, who has been serving in the state legislature, who had served in the state legislature for a very long time, and first in the House of Representatives and then in the state Senate. And he has been the state treasurer since January of 2025. And I also work with Joe on the board of commissioners for the Maine State Housing Authority. So I feel like I have a much better, more intimate understanding of who he is as an individual, as a treasurer. And I will tell you, he's a very thoughtful human being, extremely humble, and will call the spade, and will be very honest with you at all times. And that is something I've really grown to appreciate. So without taking any more time, I will pass this on to Treasurer Perry.
Well, thank you so much, Noel. It's great to be here. I was so excited when I saw you're going to be part of this here today. And of course, you are. AARP has been a great partner with this program and has been so supportive. And we really made some great gains in the legislature this year, in no small part to your efforts. So thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you.
When I first became treasurer about a year and a half ago, one of the first meetings I attended was a Merit board meeting. And at the time, I didn't really know anything about Merit, even though I'd been in the legislature when it became law. And I'm not going to say I was skeptical, but I was a small business owner, and a lot of small business owners aren't looking for more mandates or ideas from the government. And I didn't know if I'd gotten a letter in the mail saying it was from Merit. I'm not sure I would have recognized what it was. I might have thought it was just a cold call from someone I wasn't interested in, and I might not have ever opened it. And boy, did I learn through from my very first meeting on just what a fabulous program Merit is. And I wished there was something that was around that I could have offered to my employees. My business was a small neighborhood market. I couldn't do a lot for extra benefits. I couldn't afford. I could pay a couple bucks more than minimum wage, but I could offer flexibility, but I couldn't offer any real benefits. And I think we all recognize how important it is to save for retirement. And I've become a total believer in Merit. And when I look at the work that Beth and Ariel have done, the partners that we work with, the board of directors, people who give their time, who are tremendously talented and care about the program a lot. In the success, my very first meeting, we were approaching $10 million saved. We're at over $30 million saved by over 20,000 savers, employees in the state of Maine, and more than 3,000 employers. And what I've learned through the process is it's no cost to the employer. It's very low cost to the employee, and we see story after story of people who have saved for the first time, and we all know how important that is for dignified, secure retirement. And it's just I just couldn't be more pleased to be here today, and hopefully reassuring any business owners out there that this is a great program. We're here to help. Beth and Ariel are terrific. You can call the treasurer's office at any time. They'll get a hold of me. I'll get back to you. You can have my cell phone number. I'm available at any time. I love talking to business owners about any of the challenges of the day. And I'll just say right now, things with the state are very good. And I started 30 years ago. We have the strongest fiscal health that I've ever seen. There have been years where we had no money on hand in the state's checkbook. We have 3.6 billion on hand at the moment. We've been upgraded by the rating agencies. They reaffirmed this summer that we're stable, that things are good and solid. We finished last fiscal year with $152.2 billion surplus. We have $1.1 billion, $30 million in the budget stabilization fund. And much like Merit earns for the savers, the state of Maine earned $178 million in interest on the money we have in the bank. And that's $178 million that can go to the public good without having to come out of the public's pocket. And that's something that we're excited about. So at any rate, thank you for having me. Delighted to be part of this. And we're on call anytime. And I'll just say one thing. If you contact me for a question, I'm just going to go straight to Beth for it. And so if you've got a question, that's the place to go. But you're always welcome to contact me on any matter, anytime. And with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Beth Bordowitz.
Hi, thank you very much, Treasurer Perry. And and also Noël, we so much appreciate your partnership, the partnership with AARP. We appreciate your strong support, Treasurer Perry. And without further ado, I am going to share the slides and talk about merit. So again, you've heard me referenced. I'm Beth Bordowitz. I am the Executive Director of the Maine Retirement Savings Board, which we do business as Merit. And so today it's my pleasure. I'm going to turn this back into the slideshow. I'm going to introduce you to Merit. You've already heard our introduction from AARP and some financial highlights from Treasurer Perry. You've heard about the retirement landscape in Maine, so I'm going to keep that pretty brief. But my real focus today is, what is merit? What does it mean to you as an employer? What does it mean to your employees? I'm going to talk about our implementation schedule, where we are in the process. And then we know there are questions we get all the time, so we will make sure we address those, but also your questions. So you've heard it. Do use the Q&A. We want this to be interactive. If there's a question that comes into the Q&A, Ariel might jump in and ask it then, or it'll get asked before the end. But we are here for all of your questions, so please go ahead and ask them, and we will make sure they are addressed. So you've heard Noël talk about this. There is a retirement gap in Maine. So this is why did the legislature do this? And that is because there are people in Maine who do not have access to that opportunity to save for their retirement in the workplace. As Noël mentioned, people are 15 times more likely to save if it's easy for them, if it's coming out of their paycheck. And the state cares about this because they want people to have a dignified retirement. And frankly, they'd rather not be footing the bill for that dignified retirement to the extent that they don't need to. So a part of Merit's goal is to fill that 34% gap of the employees in the state who do not have access to a workplace retirement plan. You've also heard Noël talk about this. We are not the only ones doing this. So every state that's in dark green has an active program currently in place. And a couple of states are getting started. Washington will start in 2027. Hawaii will start this year. Alaska just passed legislation. So you can see that this is across the country, from Maine to California and many places in between. And it's working. For Maine, we've grown our assets. Treasurer Perry mentioned this. We're up to almost $34 million saved by Maine employees as of today. And their average account balance is $1,676. So that includes people who just started last week and people who started a while ago. So again, and that's an average, but people are putting money in. It's usually a pretty small amount per paycheck, but it does start to add up. So now the nitty-gritty. What is merit? What does it mean for you all as employers? And what does it mean for your employees? So as an employer, if you do not offer a retirement plan and you have 5 or more Maine employees and you've been in business 2 years, you will be hearing from us, or you should have already heard from us, because you need to, by statute, offer merit to your employees. So who is an employee? They are anyone employed in Maine. So if you employ people in a couple of states, if they get their, if they're doing their withholding for Maine and they're paying Maine income taxes, they are employed in Maine and they should be included in your employee count. They need to be 18 years or older to be included in your employee count. And they need to have a social security number that last, or tax identification number. And that those, the 18 years old and social security number are requirements of federal law to open up these accounts. If you have employees, let's say you have 5 employees and 3 of them are part-time and 2 are full-time, you have 5 employees. So it doesn't matter how many hours they work, as long as they're on-site, counted as an employee, have W-2 income, they count as one of your employees for this purpose. If you offer your employees any one of these types of plans, you offer a 401k or a 403b or simple or SEP, simple IRA, SEP IRA, then you offer a qualified workplace retirement plan and you are exempt from participation in merit. But you do need to take a step. You need to, if you've heard from us, just go quickly to the meritsaves.com website. And you're going to hear me say that a lot today, meritsaves.com. You'll go to that website, and with just a couple of clicks, you'll certify to us that you offer one of those plans, and then you'll be exempt and you won't hear from us again. But you do need to take the step, because we have, to the extent that we can find information about who offers a plan, we have already certified that you're exempt, to the extent we can do a match on people, businesses that file a 5500. We have exempted you. But if you don't file 5500, you have a different type of plan, then you do need to let us know so that we can then know that you're exempt and take you off of our records. So what really is merit? It is an opportunity for your employees to save. And we talk about automatic enrollment, but from you as an employer, it's not automatic. You'll have to take an action to enroll your employees. And again, that is required under the statute. So from your employees' perspective, their participation is voluntary. They can opt out at any time. But as an employer, you need to enroll them in merit, just as you would if you started a 401k or any other type of retirement plan. You need to enroll them, and then employees can opt out. Merit is set up as a public-private partnership. Our partner is Vestwell State Savings. Any of you who might have a 529 college savings plan with the state of Maine might be familiar with Vestwell State Savings from that. They also operate the 529 in Maine. They operate many of the retirement programs that you've seen in the other states that I identified. So they are very active as a financial services company to run state-based financial programs. And one of our key goals, one of the legislators' key goals, one of the board's key goals, one of the treasurer's key goals is to keep this as simple as possible for both you as employers and for your employees. So your role as an employee, as an employer, is to register your company on the portal. Then you need to send us ongoing contributions from your employee's paycheck and keep your portal up to date. If you have employees that leave, that they terminate their employment with you, you need to mark that. If you hire new employees, you need to add them into the system. But we tried to keep this enrollment is fast and easy. I'm going to go through that in detail so you can see how easy it is. A key element, there is no cost to you as an employer. So we are not charging you anything. You'll have to take a little time to set this up and make sure it's integrated with your payroll, but there is no fees to you as an employer to set this up. And we have tried as much as possible to work with your payroll processes so that you can coordinate this. So we have over 50 integrations. If you're using a payroll provider that has an integration with us, it will be a very easy process for you. And we are always looking to put more integrations in place. A few more details. When your employees are enrolled in Merit, 5% of their wages will be withdrawn from each paycheck. So you will be setting up your payroll system so that it withdraws 5% from each paycheck. That amount increases 1% per year up to a maximum of 10%. And when they first start investing, they will be investing their funds in a capital preservation fund, which is essentially a money market. And thereafter, the default will be a target date suite of funds. Your employees have other investment options that they can choose. Now, your employees can make all the choices. They can opt out entirely. They can say, not for me, not at this time, or I already have retirement savings, or whatever is in their life, they can just choose to opt out. They can change the percentage of their wages. They might say 5%, that's a little rich for me now, and I want to start at 3%. Or they can say, thank God this is here. We had an email today from someone who just said, I've never had this opportunity before. I want to make sure I save as much as I possibly can. And so maybe they want to increase the percentage of the wages that they contribute. So they have that opportunity, and they can make those choices at any time. They can start out saving 5% and decrease to 3%, or they can increase to 7%, or they can opt out if there's a change in their life that necessitates that. They can also choose their investment options. So in addition to that target date suite of funds, they can choose from a domestic equity fund or a bond fund or an international fund, and they can mix and match however they feel is appropriate for themselves. You as an employer should have received emails from Merit at this time if you're required to register for this year. And the most recent email, which came last week, the subject was register your business with Merit today. So the deadline for this year is June 30th. All businesses should have received 2 or 3 emails by now. They come from Merit, but you'll notice that the domain is vestwell.com. I know that throws some people off. They've never heard of Vestwell. So just to be aware that if you see that domain from vestwell.com, that is legit. It is Merit, and you should respond to it. And if you haven't seen this email, I strongly recommend that you look into your spam filter because sometimes they end up there. Depends on how your spam filter is set. So this, I realize, is a very, very detailed slide, but it lays out how Merit, the timeline for Merit. So you'll see on the lower left corner, you as an employer will receive an email or a letter from the program, and that will have an access code. That access code is just for you. It is a personalized access code for each business in the state. When you receive that, you will set up your portal, which means going into the portal, and I'll give you some more detail on that, but you'll be able to click right from the email if you receive it from email. If you don't receive an email, you might be getting this by letter, so you can look in your mail for a letter from us as well. You'll upload all of your eligible employees into the roster with the required information, and then your job as an employer is done for the next 30 days. And during those 30 days, the program, will be reaching out to your employees. We'll be letting them know that they have been registered with Merit, that they can choose to keep the standard choices that I just reviewed, 5% contribution and the default investment, or they can customize their account, change their investment rate, or they can opt out. And opting out for your employees, also very simple. They can do it very quickly online, or there's a customer service number they can call and they can opt out. It's a very quick process. We don't make it hard for them to get out of the program if that's what they want to do. And they'll hear from us 3 times during that 30-day period, trying to get their attention. The information will come by email to them if you have provided us their email address, Otherwise, it will come by letter. And then after the 30 days have passed, they are then considered to be auto-enrolled in the program. And you will, as employers, will begin initiating those payroll deductions. So you'll change your payroll to identify which of your employees are participating and set it up so that the right percentage is being removed from their payroll and then sent to Merit. So this, again, a detailed slide, but I want to go through this quickly. You'll see on the right side, it says company info. So when you go into your portal as an employer, you're going to set it up. You're going to set up, as you always do, password two-factor authentication. We take our security very seriously and will be required to have two-factor authentication. Then you'll enter your company information. That's basic information. Who's going to be the primary contact, the address, phone numbers, email address, basic company information. The next page is going to be your payroll setup. We're going to ask you, what day do you do payroll? How frequently do you do payroll? Do you do it every other week? Do you do it every week? If you have two payroll groups, that's some you pay every other week and some you pay weekly, you can set that up as well. And that's so we can remind you to do your payroll, make your payments, your contributions on time. We are also going to ask you who your payroll provider is. As I mentioned, we have integrations with a lot of payroll providers, and we're doing more every day. So if we know that you're working with a payroll provider that we have an integration with, like QuickBooks Online or Gusto, then we can help you get that integration set up. So you'll do your payroll setup, and then you will do your payment setup. So you will be sending the funds that you take out of your employee's account or out of your employee's paycheck and sending it to their Merit account. So we will be asking you for your banking information, and you'll have the choice whether you want to have that funds pulled, ACH push, ACH pull. You can also choose to skip the banking information and make your payments by check. I'll say
Excuse
these
me,
days.
Beth.
Yes.
We have a question from Fred. Are the
Sure.
employee contributions taking out pre-tax? And are we integrated with ADP? I assume that's what they were asking. Yes.
Excellent. So yes, all of these are, these are Roth IRA. So every one of your employees will be set up with a Roth IRA account. So everything is post-tax. So it will be set up as, again, as a Roth contribution. And we do have an integration with ADP Run. I know there are other ADP programs. So ADP Run, we have an integration with, and then we have information in our help center about working with some of the other ADP products that they have. And then, so thank you for that question, Fred, and keep the questions coming. And then as the last piece, you will add your employees. And this screen that you're looking at is the add employee screen. So you'll see we are asking for their social security number, again, required to set up a Roth IRA account, first name, last name, birth date, and we ask for addresses, phone numbers, email addresses. And I know one thing, I'll just address it right out of the gate. That is always a concern in Maine is we do ask for a street address. We know many Mainers don't use a street address regularly. Again, it's a federal requirement. We have to ask for that street address, and we have to get it to set up the account. So there'll be opportunity for street address and mailing address. In many cases, it will be the same, but we will ask for that. This information, you can see you can upload it manually, or you can upload a file. So if you have a software, probably your payroll software program or any other program where you keep your employee information, you can download a spreadsheet from our website and then fill it in with the information from your payroll system or other system, and then upload it manually. And that's always a good choice if you can do that, because we get a lot of typos. So the fewer typos, the better, and it's easier to not do typos if you enter it with a spreadsheet. but also there's no you can enter it manually. So you can choose whichever will work best for you. When you have all that information in, you'll click the finish onboarding and you will be finished with your employee onboarding. And then the 30 days will start where we're contacting your employees. Sorry about that. And you'll be sitting back. A few things to know about our system. You can add teammates. So you are setting this up. If you set this up, you say, oh, so-and-so sometimes does payroll or HR when I'm on vacation. Or in some instances in Maine, if you use a bookkeeper who does your payroll for you, they might want to be set up as a teammate. So it's very easy to do. The add teammate button is on almost every page of that setup. So you can if you work with a payroll provider who does this for you or someone else who you on your team who you want to add as a teammate, again, that's very easy. They will then have access to all of the information in the portal and be able to take all of the actions necessary. They can edit the payroll, they can add employee information and the like. So I mentioned we ask you for your payroll, what days you do your payroll. And that is so that we can send you a reminder 4 days before each payroll to don't forget to go online, see if your employees have made any changes in the amount they want to deduct, and also don't forget to set this up in your payroll system. So this is just an example of the email that you will receive regularly before each payroll process. And if there are changes to be made, that will be identified. So usually we find that employees are pretty regular. It's one of the things about saving from your paycheck. You don't often make changes, but certainly at the beginning, people might say it's a little too much or a little too little and do a little adjusting. And then it's pretty straightforward. You will see this is the contributions tab. So if there are changes, it will show up in red. So I don't know if you can read this, but it says read for deferment changes. And so then you'll want to make sure that you have identified those changes. That probably means that someone has changed the amount that they want to contribute or has opted out. And so you want to make sure that you've changed your payroll system accordingly, especially if you don't have an integration. But you want to make these changes in your portal and then mark it complete so that we know that the changes have been made. Then when you're ready to make your contributions, you'll see an example, all of your employees who are participating in merit and their savings rate. And so you will have set that up on your payroll processing, QuickBooks or whatever you're using. And then you can run basically an employer retirement report. And it will show, let's just say Ryan, who's first employee on this list, who's saving 4%. If he made $100 that week, then the amount that he would be putting would go into the account is $4. So you'll need to enter that amount. Again, you can do that from a spreadsheet, or you can just enter the amount. If your employees are salaried and make pretty much the same amount week after week, you can just copy from the previous payroll. And if you copy and there's one change, you can always just make that change after you've copied everyone in. So again, we try to give you options to do this in the way that works best for you. Enter manually or upload a file. You'll enter those dollar amounts and then you'll confirm them and send those amounts to your employees' accounts. And again, if there's an integration, that will be happening in the background for you. So we know in Maine, there are people who speak many different languages. So we have various language resources in Merit. We do have employee information sheets that are available both in English and Spanish. We also, the registration portion of the website for your employees can be translated, they can choose to see it in Arabic, Armenian, Bengali, Cantonese, Farsi, French, Haitian, Creole, Italian, Korean, Mandarin, Polish, Portuguese, Russian, Spanish, Tagalog, Urdu, Vietnamese, or Yiddish. So those translations are available right in the portal when they've signed in. They can choose to see their portal in those languages to make sure that they're understanding what the decisions that they're making. And we have informational videos on the Merit YouTube channel in 14 languages that talk about the importance of retirement savings and what it is for those who may be from a culture where that's not a common thing. So you can find those on our YouTube channels and certainly share them with your employees. I've mentioned our help center, and it's a tremendous resource. So you can see there's a whole section in the top left about payroll resources, about payroll integrations, who has payroll integrations, how do I work with the payroll integrations, and how do I work if I don't have a payroll integration. So there is a lot of information there. You can see, again, I think our portal is very easy to use. I've watched many employers set it up, but if you have a question along the way, there's individual step-by-step pieces on each aspect of setting up your portal. And most importantly, we have this how-to video series. I don't know about you, I personally like to look at a video. And so there's multiple videos. The most important, I think, for your purposes today are the introduction or onboarding your company to Merit and submitting your contributions to Merit. And that goes with the introductions to payroll integrations. So you can watch those videos. Are very brief. They're about 4 to 5 minutes, and they just walk through the process. I think they're very helpful. And again, lots of other things to identify as you're working with your portal. And then we do have, just so you know, a savers portal as well. So questions that are savers like frequently asked questions. So if your employees have questions, they too can find some answers to their questions. So Merit, as I think I didn't mention, but we started in January 2024. And so for any employers who were required to register before June 30th, 2024, their deadline has passed, and we will be working through enforcement on them. For anyone who is not registered, the statute does set out penalties and sets out enforcement by the Attorney General to comply with the law. So for those, we'll be working this summer for the first group that should have registered by June 30, 2024. Working on enforcement. Again, the second group that was started in January 2025, they also have passed their deadline, which was July 2025, June 30, 2025. And this year, if you are new and you just were notified of your requirement to register with Merit starting in 2026, you're in the process right now, and hopefully we're helping to get you into compliance and and everything set up. And your deadline is June 30, 2026. So in the summer of 2026, we will be sending out, particularly to that first group in 2024, the final notice of penalty application. So they will be assessed penalties if they are not registered. This fall, we intend to refer the non-compliant employers to the Attorney General's office, and they will commence enforcement. So I don't like to focus on the enforcement part. We have worked really hard. We're trying to get every employer in compliance. That is our goal. So if you're in one of the earlier groups and you haven't complied, it's not too late. Just to get it done. And again, we're happy to answer questions to help you get it done. So these are some questions that we get quite regularly. So I wanted to talk to you about them. The employees if Maine, we have so many seasonal businesses. And so who needs to be registered? If you have employees who work for you 120 days, they will need to be registered. And that's the full period of time. It's not like if they work Tuesday and Thursday, that counts as 2 days. If they've got paid that week, that would count as a full week of 7 days. So basically, if the business is open and they're working for a full 3-month period, they will need to be registered. And we think this is really important because seasonal employees are among those who have the least access to retirement savings. And so if they can be working at perhaps their job in the summer and they have merit, they might be working at a different job in the winter and also have merit. Funds go into the same account. And so you might say 120 days, they're not really going to get to save very much, but they really might if this is an extra job and maybe they're going to be able to save a little bit more because this is a second job, or they have a different job in the winter. They might choose to save at both of those jobs. So we have many, many, many employees who show as having multiple employers. So this really does help, even if it's just a short period of time. And of course, many of you seasonal employers also have many returning employees who come summer after summer, and it's a steady way for them to save. I've mentioned this before, part-time employees do count and need to be registered. That's true of temporary employees too. If they're temporary, they're temporary, but they're going to be there the 120 days. They also should be registered if they're W-2, if they're contract, if they're 1099 temporary employees, then they don't need to be registered. But and the other thing I will just say with the 120 days, you can wait for the 120 days to register any of your employees. So if you think they might not be around, they're going to, as I like to say, come work for 2 weeks and then use their money and buy a concert ticket and you never see them again. And you have that sent as their employer, you don't need to register them right away, but you do need to register them before the end of the 120 days. And so usually the easiest way to do that is when you do all the other employee or onboarding that you need to do to get all the ducks in a row for any employee. It's just easiest to add this to your checklist. And then if you are the business owner and you receive W-2 wages, you do count as as an employee as well. So you are not exempted just because you're a business owner. But if you pay yourself through some other type of payment, you take a disbursement or don't take W-2 wages, then you don't count as an employee. If you offer a qualified plan to some but not all of your employees, you are still exempt. So let's say you have some vesting rules for your workplace retirement plan, so not all of your employees can participate, you are still exempt. If you do have a qualified workplace retirement plan, as I mentioned, you should use the code to receive, certified your exemption. It is just a couple of clicks. It is just a couple of clicks, and then you will be exempt and you will have fulfilled your obligation under merit. And if you have employees who choose to opt out at the beginning, they can opt back in at any time. That is up to them. So they might be a little unsure to start with and then see that their friends at work are saving and it's working for them, and they may choose to opt in, or it just might be a better time for them to save. So again, I want to thank all of our partners who helped make this possible: the NFIB, SCORE, EMDC, FAME, Paper Trails, and the Office of State Treasurer, who's a tremendous partner. We appreciate all of our partners and we thank them for their help in getting this webinar underway. And I want to see, you will be getting this presentation, so you will have this information, but you're also certainly welcome to write it down. You have my email address directly, Ariel's email address, and you've heard Ariel, she's the one who jumped in with a question. We're the full Merit team, and we are at your disposal. So anytime you have a question, do not hesitate to reach out to us. There's also the employer helpline. So that is the number to call. You can call our 800 number in Maine, but we are more likely to have to reach out to get some help if it's a specific problem with your portal. So that's the number where you can get immediately help with the portal. Again, that portal is at meritsaves.com. And that's where you'll also find the help center. And the state-based email address, mainsaves.org, where you'll find out about board meeting information and other specific information about the program. So I'm going to stop sharing. I want to thank you for your attention. And I'm and Ariel are both very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So, Beth, we have a question from Eric. His question is, if this is a straight Roth IRA, then if an employee already has an IRA on their own, they cannot use this as well, correct?
So that they can only, as among both of their accounts, can only reach the Roth contribution maximum once. So if they have 3,500 in this, and they can have 3,500 in their personal Roth, but they can only, the combined, reach the maximum contribution. So you can have more than one Roth, but you definitely need to be careful about the federally set maximum contribution amounts.
Okay. And the follow-up question to that was, does Merit do any screening of employee eligibility for those multiples?
No, we do not. So what we do is if an employee or any person saving in our program reaches the maximums, we will cut them off so they cannot contribute more than the maximum. But if they are saving in 2 Roth IRAs, then they have to keep track of that on their own, because of course we don't know about their other maximums. Other than that, for employee eligibility, if they're 18 years old and they have a Social Security number, we are required under federal law to do a know your customer, just to make sure that it's a federal law. We have to make sure they are who they say they are. So we do that kind of check in the system, but that's basically the eligibility. So if the birthday doesn't match up, if they're, let's say, 17, that might get caught.
Thank you, Beth. We've had a few questions regarding employees and either their refusal or not wanting to participate in the program. Can you touch base on that topic a little bit?
Sure. So we know there are some employees who are just not going to want to participate, and they still need to be registered by you. That's what the law says, but you can give them an easy way to opt out. You can give them the number to opt out. You can help them opt out, but they need to be registered and then opt out.
Yes, that's great. I don't see any further questions in the question and answer section, but one thing I do want to note is that we have employee and employer fact sheets on meritsaves.com under resources if you would like to provide your employees a fact sheet.
Right. Again, in both English and Spanish. So, and they are helpful. It's because we know, and this is so true, that many of the Maine employees rely on their employer. So even though this is not your program, you'd have no fiduciary obligation under this program, and you have no obligation to help your employees, they are going to ask you questions. We realize that's a reality. And so being able to hand them the fact sheet and saying, here's the information, that may take a bit of that burden off of you. Anything else? Again, we're here. If you have specific questions about your situation, we're happy to talk to you offline or take any of your questions right now.
I'm not seeing anything else in the questions. Oh,
Okay.
I do see one. Okay, so Monica is asking, they're saying that they're opting out and that they already have a simple setup. What is Monica obligated to do as the employer?
Sure. So as an employer, if you have a simple, what you need to do is just go to meritsaves.com and certify that you are exempt. It will be, go online, you'll say certify my exemption. You'll click on that. It will ask you for your access code and your employer identification number. If you don't have your access code, it will say don't have the access code. You'll be able to click on that anyway, and it will just really, it will ask you to certify why you're exempt. You're just going to choose I have a simple IRA, and then you'll be done. You'll get a notice saying that you have certified your exemption. It will just come up on the screen. You can take a screenshot if you want, but that will go right into the system. So it's just a couple of clicks, and then you'll stop hearing from us. So thank you for asking, Monica. Anything else?
I think that
Right.
might be it.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone who joined this presentation. I hope it was helpful. I want to once again thank our partners at AARP and Treasurer Perry for helping to put this together. And remind everyone, we are always here. So if you get started and you have questions, Ariel and I are always happy to help. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. That concludes this webinar.